We want to show you a quick means to get your oblique drawings out of Rhino other than using Cage Edit. So we're going to demonstrate Rhino macros quickly here. We can go more in depth in class and in person as to if we're actually getting truly what you need for this week out of it. So first things first, just like if we were to use Cage Edit, do copy your model. The commands will distort the model otherwise, so obviously using the same copy command you guys are familiar with, hold down shift to move orthogonally, or I also like to use the gumball every so often, turning it on and off. When you have your item selected, you can copy if you hold down the option key on a Mac and drag, or I believe it's control on a PC, but we can check that out. So once we have a copied model, all we're going to do is copy and paste a command, a macro command, into the line of Rhino. Do keep in mind I'm on a Mac right now. Things look a little different on a PC, but everything should function the same. So having selected our main model that we're going to distort, I will send this to you guys so you can copy and paste it, and I will also send you a link to the original video where this was seen in. So paying attention though, the commands in this macro command associate themselves to specific viewports. So if ever you are in Rhino and are trying to use one of these, and if you don't have your viewports active that are noted in the command, you'll get some hiccups, and don't let it frustrate you. Just pay attention to that and just make sure those things are squared away. So we need our top and right viewports active, which we do. So we're going to copy and paste this, select our model, pay attention to perspective and the other viewports to see what's going on here once we paste and enter. And it's done all the actions in one fell swoop. It's rotated our model and sheared it up. So what this gives you in front view is a ready to go 45-degree axo to make 2D and export the lines for your drawing in Illustrator. One thing I want to note about this, because this is 3D space, if you wanted to quickly check the angle of the model, make sure it's actually at 45. You might trick yourself in trying to measure it holding down the shift key. If you notice in perspective, we're moving in one direction here, and if that's the first point of our angle and then we try to measure back here, this isn't a 2D drawing, so we're going to get a different measurement. So you would measure it after you make 2D, or another quick way, if you have a complicated design and you're not going to make 2D right yet, you can try using mesh outline, and what that does is creates an outline in the active viewport of whatever you've highlighted in 3D space, but as a 2D outline. So if you notice, what we have here in perspective is what we were just looking at in front view. So what you can now do in 3D space, before even having made 2D, is now measure the angle to just see, is this indeed a true 45, which it should be, and we're good. So mesh outline isn't necessarily for that. It's been useful for other things, but it's a nice tool that I learned of later rather than sooner. So this would give you your regular axon from top view, but I understand you guys need something in worm's eye view, so we have a couple options. And again, in person we're going to talk about whether these are the right way to go or not, whether it's actually giving you the views you need. So one thing to do, again, let's try copying this model. We're going to do a couple things. So instead of shearing up to look at top view, we're simply going to shear it down to look at the bottom. So all I did is we're going to shear it negative instead of positive. So using that change, we're going to see what it looks like again here. Again, looking in front view, and also in perspective, you see we had the same model, and instead of shearing up, we've sheared down, and what that looks like then is this. So it gives you a worm's eye now. The thing is it giving you the right direction that your instructors are wanting? We can talk about this in person. So there's another consideration to make is if you have this model that we sheared up, one thing is we could see what it looks like when we look at it from the back. And one way to do that is we can simply change our viewport to the opposite of what we're looking at, so move front to back. But also I want to compare them side by side, so let's just make one more copy for you guys of what we have. And then in 3D space I want to look at the back, so I'm just going to rotate this using the gumball 180 degrees, and in front view we can compare what looking at the bottom of this looks like if we sheared the model in a different way. So this is what I want to talk about in person with you guys, and make sure we're showing you what would be an appropriate means to get the right type of worm's eye view out of rhino. So that's a quick demonstration of the macro. We'll go more in detail in person.